So the difference between Medicare and Medicaid, and I apologize because this was also going to be a question that I was going to pose to you guys to see if you can help me define what Medicare is, but I changed the slide too quickly. So Medicare is health insurance administered by the federal government for older Americans, so Americans ages 65 or older. But it can also pertain to those people with, or certain younger people with disabilities, as well as people with end-stage renal disease. So those people who have permanent kidney failure and are in need of dialysis. So simple, right? Medicare, federal health insurance for older Americans ages 65 or older. Now, can someone tell me what Medicaid is? It's a federal and state administered program that can be available to a wide range of people that meet different eligibility criteria, and typically comes at a lower copay. There's a comprehensive, or services that are provided are also comprehensive, and there's also access to long-term care. And I think your definition is actually a lot more comprehensive than what I have included here. So often when people describe Medicaid, they describe it as federal health insurance for low-income Americans. And I personally feel that it's not completely true. I think it's probably the most vulnerable of those in our country who need access and get access from Medicaid. So here, this was pulled from Medicaid.gov. Medicaid provides health coverage to millions of Americans, including eligible low-income adults, children, pregnant women, elderly adults, and people with disabilities. As John mentioned, it's administered by the states, unlike Medicare, which is just administered by the federal government. And so it's administered by the states in accordance to federal requirements, and it's funded both by the states and the federal government. And I really view Medicaid to be our country's, it's our largest healthcare safety net. Without it, these people would not get the access to care that they need. John mentioned long-term care services. Medicaid is the largest payer for long-term care. Not many people know that. And so that's just something to keep in mind. And another thing that John had mentioned was just, you know, Medicaid, it's so important, yet it's really complex because of how or who can be eligible for it. And so I'll go into eligibility requirements here. Starting with employer-based plans, obviously, to be eligible for an employer-based plan, you need to be employed by a particular employer, and usually that employer sets the different criteria for eligibility. Marketplace plans, so those are the plans in the health exchange. You must live in the US and must also be a US citizen. Military, obviously, you need to either be active duty or retired, and it covers, or coverage includes spouse and children up to age 26. And we discussed eligibility for Medicare, either 65 years or older, and those two other exceptions. And for Medicaid, again, it gets it's a bit complex because there's a number of different criteria, and the states really are the ones who set those different criteria. So what a person might get coverage for in Maryland, for example, may be different from, or what the criteria is set for in Virginia. So the different things that that the Medicaid program takes into consideration when determining who's eligible. First, finances, financial eligibility. They look at income level, size of the family. They also take into consideration non-financial eligibility. So that's citizenship, residency, age, pregnancy status, and as we discussed, whether there's a history of or someone in the family being disabled. The criteria, as I said, it does differ widely, and so the best way to really determine whether or not someone may be eligible is to go onto the state's website and to see there how it's broken down.